Hello and welcome to It's the Pictures. I'm your host, Max Colville, and today I'm going to go over some of my favorite Blu-ray and 4K releases of 2025. Well, now that you're here, let's do this. I figured that I wanted to talk about a few of my favorite releases this year over on the newsletter. There's the Pictures newsletter now on Ghost. I write a lot about physical media, and coming this Monday morning when this video goes live, you'll be able to see a physical version of this list there as well. I hope that you buy some. Earlier this year, one of my favorite posts that I did was that I discussed some places where you can still buy physical media, and that's whether or not it's through places like Orbit DVD or Diabolic DVD, or even smaller places like Bull Moose. They're great places to still buy physical media. I know that you can't really walk in the Best Buy and Target anymore and buy them. So it's harder to get these releases and even to know what's being released. But let me just tell you that it's thriving right now. There's a lot of fantastic releases. I'm going to show you just a few of my favorites this year that I've gotten over the long haul here, and I hope that maybe you find something. There's a lot of different labels releasing these movies, and they're releasing things that I've never seen the light of day before, and also stuff that is just really fantastic now that it's been restored. I'd encourage you, if you've never bought physical media, or if you have in the past and kind of said, I don't need it anymore, I can just go digital. Still a reason to have physical media in this day and age, whether or not your favorite films get lost on streaming or they get taken down, or you just don't know where to find it. Maybe you don't have that subscription today that favorite film is on. When you have the physical disc, you never have to worry about that. So one of my first releases that I want to talk about here was one that just came out in November, and that is from the Criterion Collection. And that's Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut. And coming from Criterion, this is one of the grails of this year, right? So everybody was wondering, where's Eyes Wide Shut? Where's Eyes Wide Shut? We've seen some movies come to Criterion from the Stanley Kubrick library, but Warner Brothers is still kind of holding on to the biggies. Let's say 2001: A Space Odyssey and probably Full Metal Jacket and Clockwork Orange. Those have not yet come to the Criterion label. But there was hopes that something like Eyes Wide Shut or even Lolita would eventually come to the Criterion label. Maybe stuff that hasn't traditionally sold all that well for Warner Brothers, but is still in the Stanley Kubrick canon and people love to see it. So why, outside of this being a terrific movie, did I think that this was worthy of one of my favorite 4K releases of the year? Well, you have a beautiful new 4K digital restoration of the movie. You have the film presented in Dolby Vision HDR, and you have 2 Blu-rays in addition with the film and special features. So even if you don't have a 4K player yet and you're considering it, you could still buy this 4K and still get this restoration on Blu-ray. It's great. You have a lot of archival interviews, a lot of different documentaries, and some essays as well. I don't know. I was watching just some of this the other night, and it looks fantastic. Just a brilliant movie. Arguably, it's a Christmas movie. I think it is. I mean, some people will tell you no, they don't think it is. It doesn't have that nice holiday spirit about it. But yes, it's a Christmas movie in my opinion, and you should definitely consider Eyes Wide Shut for your library if you haven't picked this disc up yet. It's wonderful. And the next one I haven't actually gotten to put this one in my player yet because I just received it yesterday, and it's just a stunning release here. This is the new K release of Satoshi Kon's Perfect Blue. This is the first time that Perfect Blue has been available on 4K disc, and this is a very expensive set. For one movie, I think the MSRP is around $80 or so. It's just really full bells to the whistles collector set here. You got the disc itself, a booklet full of essays. You got some postcards, what looks to be a poster of the film. It's definitely a wonderful package for the animation fan in your life or the anime fan who's never seen Perfect Blue before. I wouldn't say that Perfect Blue is an easy blind buy because it is quite disturbing at parts. I think it's a fantastic movie, and Satoshi Kon only made a few feature films before he passed, unfortunately, and each one I think is worthy of consideration of your library or to own. In this case, Perfect Blue on 4K, one of the first from Satoshi Kon to be restored and put into 4K. This would make a excellent gift and an excellent addition to your show. I think there's been some great anime releases this year, but if you just want like one package, one film that's like, it'd be like, this is great collector's edition for the shelf. Perfect Blue is that one. Now, as far as like where Perfect Blue fits into like anime on the whole, people point to Perfect Blue as like an easy like thing to watch for Satoshi Kon, and like people might be familiar because director Darren Aronofsky kind of like borrowed some of the motifs for this in his film Black Swan. I think Perfect Blue is pretty great. I don't know if I'd put it right next to like Akira as classic anime films go, but maybe the tier right underneath that. So if you have an anime fan who's an adult, because this is like I said, a pretty traumatizing movie, and they haven't seen this yet, this might be a really nice collector's edition box set to get them for the holidays. And if not, even into the new year. So my next one is a double. And this one is Disney released these, I guess, maybe a month before Tron Ares came out. And it's the long-awaited 4K releases of Tron and Tron Legacy. And why I wouldn't say that either one of these films is like the best movie in the world. They're just really interesting to look at. The technology in Tron is just fantastic. And of course, the score for Tron Legacy with Daft Punk doing the music is terrific to match the visuals. I've always thought that the movies were just basically like a roller coaster ride, which is how I also viewed Tron Ares. They're like really interesting to look at. They have great graphics and special effects, but on a whole, they're kind of dumb. In that case, they're just great to watch. These are really fantastic presentations. As far as like the original Tron goes, for this 4K release, it received a really good remaster. I don't think it's ever looked better than it does right now. So that's the front and back of the steelbook. I think for a long time these steelbooks were out of stock. They quickly sold out when they were launched, but if you go like one of the sites I mentioned at the beginning, like Diabolic DVD, Orbit DVD, there was other regions that had these, and 4K disc are region free. So you could still pick up like the steel books if you're a collector of steel books. And I think like there's also like standard editions, non-steel books available in other regions. So you might want to pick it up that way as well. These are just steel cases. The materials on the inside are the same. But yeah, let's open up Tron Legacy here. And oh yeah, that's right. I remember now. I got a broken case. So my Tron Legacy is underneath if the Blu-ray here. I couldn't get a refund because they were out of stock. So but a nice looking case. That's Amazon for you. That's where I got this. The broken case and all, and I couldn't even refund it. But nice looking steel case. Recommend Tron Legacy for the Blu-ray 4K sci-fi fan in your life. Next one, actually, I haven't gotten to actually watch this one yet, but I fell in love. I kind of blind bought it due to the terrific packaging, and that I've heard that it's like a seminal, like early 2000s horror movie. And that's the Lionsgate Limited, which is a label that Lionsgate puts out, release of The Descent. Now, this is just a beautiful, beautiful steelbook case. You can see the art here. It shows some of the characters in the movie going down, making the descent, if you will, with the slipcover on. And then once you take the slipcover off, you see more of it. And sorry for the ring light here. You see more of it, and it looks like a monster, like with teeth, eating him. Just an absolutely brilliant cover design for this steelbook case. Also, what kind of lured me to wanting to like blind buy this one is because I figured that like on 4K, the 4K would give you more bit rate, so you'd be able to see the darks a lot better. I know for a fact, even though I haven't seen the movie, that The Descent is a very dark movie. And with the 4K resolution and bit rate, you'll be able to see a lot more of the film. Maybe it won't have a lot of that micro blocking effect that is seen on like maybe a DVD or Blu-ray release of this movie. And I'm really excited to check this out. I have some close friends who have seen The Descent, and they said it's absolutely fantastic. If you haven't checked out the Lionsgate Limited line yet, they have a lot of exclusives through there that I think I also bought earlier this year. They had the 4K restoration of The Third Man, the great British film that is just brilliant. I got that through Lionsgate Limited. I know They have a lot of fantastic releases there. Coming up soon, I think they have a 4K of American Psycho, if you're a fan of that movies. That's Lionsgate Limited. Check them out. Okay, so this one might not appear on everybody's list, but it's going to appear on mine. I was waiting for the release of Amadeus on 4K for a long time. It just like, I love this movie. I think like the costume design is fantastic, but I've always thought like the DVD and Blu-rays didn't do the costume design justice. I thought like the movie always looked a little muddy. And thankfully, this new 4K does the movie justice. It's absolutely beautiful. In addition, they've decided to upgrade the theatrical cut of the movie, which is my cut, which is the one that I prefer because I guess there's a version of it, the extended edition, or they call it the director's cut. Adds 10 more minutes onto the movie. And like really the 10 minutes is more of this main character, Salieri, who is the foil to this movie, is kind of sexually harassing Amadeus's wife in the movie. And I don't know. I don't think that we need the scene. I think he does enough in this movie that scene could be excised. I think that this was everything I wanted from Amadeus outside of like being released by like the Criterion Collection. Yeah, I was really happy that this was finally released. I remember, like, last Christmas, I was really eager for, like, Criterion to announce this because, like, I think they were finally showing this restoration in theaters, and I knew, like, a disc release would come soon. It didn't, not last year, but thankfully this year it did, and couldn't be happier. Amadeus on 4K, love this movie. All right, so next one I talked about this one on the Ghost newsletter. If you've been over there, you would see me talk about it. But the Shout Studios had made a big acquisition at the beginning of 2025, announcing that they've got a lot of Hong Kong classics, and among those was easily my most anticipated, which was John Woo's Hard Boiled. This movie is awesome. If you've only seen like some of the American John Woo movies, like Face Off or I don't know, Mission Impossible 2, you haven't really seen John Woo, in my opinion. I mean, you have to see Hard Boiled. This movie is incredible. And this one stars Chow Yun Fat and Tony Leung, and it's just balls to the walls action. I was looking this movie up afterwards online, and it still has like the record for most like on-screen kill count. I think it's like over 350 people die in this movie. It's just like an amazing violent kung fu-esque action movie. Like if you like John Wick movies, you owe it to yourself to watch Hard Boiled. And so Shout Studios knew that this would be a sought after release. They gave it a really beautiful, like hard box and a booklet, as well as the cover, the original theatrical cover, and the movie's also available. You could see Chow Yun Fat there, Tony Leung. You know, I love that this was like the original poster for Hard Boiled because it's like it's so goofy. It almost looks like a um poster for the movie that you get like at a knockoff shop or like bootleg shop, as it has Chow Yun Fat holding a baby. But like this is a scene that actually happens in the movie. It's ridiculous. They have to like save some babies from getting shot. And if those words coming out of my mouth sounds crazy and ridiculous, that's what some of this movie is. I just think it's fantastic. Great action movie. I'm glad that we finally get a home video release that's worthy of it. And if you've never seen Hard Boiled, now is a great opportunity to see it. If you don't have physical media or don't want to buy this, I know that it's also streaming on Tubi and on the Criterion channel. You owe it to yourself to watch Hard Boiled. All right, so I want to mention a disc from the company Second Sight. They released some fantastic releases. Typically, they do a lot of horror. I think like the movies that I bought this year from them were The Hitcher and The Nice Guys. They have some great transfers and special features on movies that don't get the same treatment over here. But a lot of their line is also horror. I think like for their big December releases, they released like Reanimator in this like beautiful hard box and everything like that. And yeah, if you like horror, make sure you check them out. They're worth importing to places like Diabolic DVD and Orbit DVD that I mentioned. But Nice Guys, this is I think it's like an underrated film by Shane Black. There's Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe in it, and they're like, one of them's like a tough guy for hire, and undercover PI who are trying to uncover this mystery. They're both fantastic, but down here you could see Angourie Rice, and she's been in quite a lot of different films recently. She keeps on getting bigger and bigger roles, but I think this is the movie that really put her on the map. She's fantastic in this movie. If you've seen the more recent Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland, she has a very small part in those movies. Yeah, she's fantastic in this. This 4K is region free. I think there was a Region A release of The Nice Guys, which is fine. It just doesn't come with like special features. I think there's a Dolby Atmos track that was produced by Second Sight Films special for their release. So if you want a Dolby Atmos track, that's worthwhile. And of course, they have big limited edition box sets too. I mentioned that earlier, and their box sets normally come with like essays, and that might be worth checking out if Nice Guys is one of your favorite movies as well. So this is The Nice Guys from Second Sight. Sound of Music. Everyone who's listening to this podcast, listens to this video right now, should know about this movie. This is a pretty famous one, celebrating its 60th anniversary, now restored to 4K disc. I was looking forward to this for a long time, not only because I have a small child at home who had never seen Sound of Music, but also because this is a beautiful movie. I think that I was eager to see the 4K restoration, see everything that went into it, and it didn't disappoint. I think it's beautiful. I think, you know, it's not the most elaborate case. think I think there was a more, whatchamacallit, a more expensive, like limited edition of this out there. If you were interested in spending more money on Sound of Music, there's one out there. But this was fine for me. It included the film on 4K, all my favorite songs from the movie. And yeah, what else can I say? It's Sound of Music on 4K. Buy it. So this one was an import from Umbrella. And currently it's the only place where you could get Tarzan Sings The Fall on 4K disc. Now, this was out of print for a long time on Blu-ray. The streaming label Mubi brought it back along with the director Tarzan Singh. So you can rent it on Mubi, watch it. It's fantastic. Get a subscription if you haven't seen it. Worthwhile. But Mubi hasn't released a physical release of this one yet. I was pretty eager, so I imported this from Umbrella, and I was eager to see it on 4K disc, and it didn't disappoint. I think you have this like really cool slipcover, and underneath you have like the original poster art. If you're not familiar with The Fall, it is, I'd say, a very expensive independent movie, because like I don't think this is certainly not a big movie, where it stars Lee Pace, who you could see he's on Apple TV's, that show's called, but the Apple TV science fiction show that he's on. But he was also on Pushing Daisies. He's been in quite a few movies, Lee Pace. So, but like when he took this role, he wasn't as well known. And he is, in the real world, he's an actor who got into like a stunt performer who got into a big accident, and maybe his career is over. He's kind of like bedridden. And this little girl starts asking him about his life and stuff like that. And he comes up with this great story about this magical, mythical land, and how these 5 heroes had to defeat this Governor Odious and kind of save the day. What is really fascinating about The Fall, outside of this like juxtaposition between like the hospital and like fantasy world, is that Tarzan Singh went to a lot of different places with his crew that like they weren't supposed to be filming, and captured some really spectacular footage, and the cinematography on this is beautiful. So if you haven't seen a lot of Tarzan Singh's work, he actually did a music video for Lady Gaga. I think it was like for the music video like 911, and it brings a lot of like thoughts of The Fall. His American works never really did it for me. I think he directed this movie Mirror Mirror, which was like another take on Snow White. I really like The Fall, and it's a beautiful looking film and well acted. So if you haven't seen this yet, best chance is probably just to get a Mubi subscription and watch it there to know whether or not you want to make an import purchase. But I don't know if Mubi plans on putting this on disc in 2026 yet. But for those of you who do not want to wait to whenever Mubi does, this is available through Umbrella, and it's well worth the import. All right, moving right along. So this is one of 3 discs that Arrow released, and these were only available on Region B, so you had to import these. Again, these are 4K discs for the features, so you can play them on any 4K player. It was just these special features that would be locked. You can either get a region-free Blu-ray player to play those features, or using the Panasonic 820 4K player. There's this, I guess there's a top menu little hack out there if you want to look it up that allows you to access Region B special footage. That might be worthwhile. That's a terrific 4K player anyways, so it's worth the purchase if you're interested in 4K movies. But yeah, this is the third of the Dollars trilogy, The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. This was one of like the big releases, I think, of 2025. I remember pre-ordering this back in January, and I didn't receive it until August, because that's when this one finally came out, and Orbit sent me all three at the same time. So I received all three of them in August, and I was really, really anticipating them. I think they were available in Region A from Kino Lorber, but Arrow has the superior restoration job and encoding job and special features for that matter. So I went with Arrow. I'm not disappointed. Absolutely beautiful box sets. I don't know if you can pick up the limited editions, which is what this is now, but I know that they have standard editions, which don't include like the booklets and stuff. They had this really nice hard case, and you had booklets of essays and posters, and of course the movie itself with lots of great discs. You see, like on this release, they had this documentary called, like, I think it's the Sad Hill documentary, where they had some people go back to where some of this was shot. And yeah, it says a 2017 documentary that followed fans' efforts to restore the graveyard set of The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. So yeah, I had a lot of really neat special features. And then you had the disc 3 was extras. You had disc 2, which was also a 4K, was the extended cut of The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. And then on the first 4K disc, you had the international cut of The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. Just an absolute perfect set for one of the greatest movies of all time. It was just awesome to get all three of them from Arrow. I wouldn't be surprised if you look at other people on the internet if they wouldn't have like this box set as like the release of 2025. Again, if you want these movies, I don't think the collector's editions are available anymore, but you should still be able to get standard editions imported from Arrow. That's what I'd suggest you do, or you can get the three movies from Kino Lorber if you just like love the movies and want them on 4K. It'll just be a different transfer, and it won't have as many special features. But most people collecting physical media. You should have the Dollars trilogy in your collection. Clint Eastwood, three spaghetti westerns here, classic movies. We're rolling right along here. We have a few more movies to share. Speed run some of them here. So this was Imprint's The Neverending Story. At the end of 2024, Imprint released The Neverending Story in this fantastic, super expensive collector's edition. It had like the big book of The Neverending Story that housed the whole thing and had documentary extras and everything. It was like, if you loved Neverending Story, like love, maybe it was worth the import. I didn't think that it was worth that much money to get Neverending Story. I really liked the movie. So when they announced that they were going to release like a smaller edition, this is from Imprint, that was what I really was interested in. And that finally came out, I guess, in November or early December. And, you know, it doesn't have like a documentary that they, let's say, yeah, it doesn't have a feature-length documentary that like the big box set had, and it doesn't have the German original cut on Blu-ray. But if you're just looking for like the original US theatrical cut on 4K disc restored, this might be a worthwhile purchase for you. It wasn't like terribly expensive, but I was happy to have the movie, and one that my family loves. I can show you the original poster art there on the cover, and of course the disc. I think there's a few different changes between the German and the American release of Neverending Story. I've never watched the German release. I do know like they didn't use that famous American hit Neverending Story song that opens the US version. So for my wife and I, that was like a non-starter. We needed the Neverending Story song. But yeah, Neverending Story, available on 4K, beautiful release by Imprint, more affordable than their giant box that they released at the end of last year. So if you need Neverending Story for your collection, consider this one. Let's see what else we have here. Some stuff that'll be easier to talk about. You have Warner Brothers release of Sinners, 4K, one of the best movies of 2025. And yeah, I think if you're looking for a 2025 movie that, your family hasn't seen yet, or just like the de facto home video release for a new release movie, this is the one. It has the movie as intended, the best home video release of Sinners. I know, like, when Ryan Coogler released Sinners in theaters, there was like many, many different ways to catch Sinners in theater, 70 millimeter, 35 millimeter, what have you, IMAX. Similar to how Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer, like a year or two ago, retained like the swishing footage and stuff like that. This 4K has the expanded aspect ratio. You see that sticker right there on there. And so that just means, like, on some of those sequences, I think there's a music sequence in the middle of the film it will just take up your full television, really big picture. And I don't think that that's available on the digital release or like the Blu-ray release. So if you want to watch Sinners as close as you can as Ryan Coogler intended, you want this 4K disc, and it's one of the best new release 4Ks that came out in 2025, in my opinion. All right, a few more here. So I already talked about Eyes Wide Shut. That'd probably be my favorite Criterion release from this year. They had a lot of fantastic releases, but they gave a lot of attention, for a lot of good reason, to the Oscar-winning animated film Flow. It's just a really well-done box set of a lot of special features. The movie is a 4K digital master with 7.1 surround sound, approved by the director. Also included is a 4K digital master of Away from 2019, the director's debut feature. There's also a lot of special features, new commentary from the director, making ofs. A lot of love is given to this package for Flow. If you fell in love with Flow during its Oscar run, or just haven't seen it, it's a pretty great animated feature. They included a poster, they included stickers, and the movie's included on the disc, and double Blu-rays and stuff. Just a really, really nice package of the Oscar-winning feature Flow. Criterion doesn't have a ton of animated features in its catalog, but it's nice to see this one, such an acclaimed and beautiful feature film. It's funny, I say that Criterion doesn't have a lot of animated features, and one of the ones that they worked with collaboration that came out maybe a year or two ago was WALL-E, because the director really wanted it, Andrew Stanton. When you go look up Criterion releases, the Criterion of WALL-E is still like a really big seller. I guess, the name of WALL-E and knowing that it's an animated feature, like, people just really go to that. But it's nice to have like a Janus Films Criterion original like Flow on the Criterion label. Next, we have the UK release of Master and Commander: Far Side of the World, another Russell Crowe starring movie. This was the 4K steelbook of the movie, another one that was pretty hard to get. There was a number of 4K steelbooks that were hard to get this year. Maybe they didn't print as many numbers, or they underestimated demand. I know that this one was particularly hard to get. There was other ones like Kingdom of Heaven that came out on 4K discs. I ended up importing that from Region B. The aforementioned Tron was hard to get. I think for a little bit, Monty Python and the Holy Grail, they didn't print those in a lot of numbers. I don't know, it's something to do with Sony or Fox or what have you, printing less than that they need to. But if you missed out on one of these steel cases, look at other regions, and I think like they come in and out of stock, so you might still be able to find one. But yeah, Master and Commander, I was pretty eager to have this one on 4K disc. I think this is like one of those movies that was like one of the most nominated films that didn't actually win an Oscar, because I think it had like 12 or 13 nominations, similar to The Irishman, and it didn't win one. But that's not a demerit against this film. It's a beautiful, gorgeous film that they don't really make movies like this anymore. I hate like saying that phrase, but they don't. It's like the seafaring movie. I don't know. I appreciate it a lot more now in this era, 15 years later, than I did when it first came out. But yeah, this is the Master and Commander: Far Side of the World 4K box set. If you love this film, worth checking out. And finally, the limited edition of Dark City by Arrow. And this was released, I think, the end of the summer. A underrated science fiction film. It's directed by Alex Proyas, who directed The Crow, and stars Rufus Sewell and Kiefer Sutherland and William Hurt and Jennifer Connelly. Just like great actors, really neat story. It looks fantastic on the 4K disc, as this includes the director's cut on this release, and it has new commentary by director Alex Proyas and other audio commentary by the co-host of the film film podcasts. You have another archival audio commentary track by the director, an archive audio commentary track by film critic Roger Ebert. There's a lot of great special features. On the theatrical cut, you have some other editions, but this was the limited edition the Arrow released. Pretty beautiful. Again, you probably can't find this one in stores now. It's probably out of print poster, but the standard edition will be coming back in the stores, or should be in stores. Arrow typically has a sale at Barnes and Noble in January or February, and 50% off Arrow releases. So if you haven't picked this up, maybe the standard release might be worthwhile at 50% off, and you should look into it. But yeah, this is a beautiful release of Dark City, beloved but underseen science fiction movie that I think science fiction fans would enjoy. So yeah, that's just a look at some of the discs that I enjoyed in 2025. I don't think it's exhaustive of the market. There's a lot of labels I didn't look at. There was some Vinegar Syndrome. They do a lot of like great releases of. I guess they're not. Some of the movies are, you know, more fun to watch with a lot of people than they are to actually take critically. But they also have a lot of partner labels come in. I know, like I bought like a movie called Shall We Dance, which was a restoration from another label that I'm looking forward to checking out. But I hope like watching this, not only did you get an idea of like the exhaustive releases that are still happening in the home video space in 2025, but just a lot of labels doing a lot of great work. I'm eager to see what 2026 brings. I know like there were some rumors just the other day that Warner Brothers has stuff like Magnolia set up for 2026. And actually just the other day I got, speaking about Paul Thomas Anderson, we're waiting for One Battle After Another to come out on 4K disc. That will be coming. I think there's a disc coming out in January, which is just like basic, and then there's plans for later in the spring for a more special feature version of One Battle After Another. That will certainly be like a Sinners release, because like that was in this division. So I'm looking forward to that 4K release. But back to Paul Thomas Anderson, Warner Brothers just released Boogie Nights on 4K. So I received that the other day. Looking forward to checking that one out as well. But yeah, it's been a fantastic year for 4K disc and Blu-rays, and I'd encourage you, if you haven't bought a movie in a while, there's still some great releases, and take them home. Know that you can watch them whenever you want. You don't have to worry about like, I don't know, Netflix buying Warner Brothers and making it so you can't get these movies anymore. I know there's like a rush right now where some people are like, oh, Warner Brothers sold, maybe like these Warner Brothers titles won't be on the market anymore. I don't know if I have that personal like fear, but yeah, it's out there. There's also a label called Warner Archive that releases like a lot of classic films on Blu-ray and 4K. I think like one of the first releases in January was The Searchers on 4K, which I loved. That was a great restoration. And I think they released the Region B version of Get Carter, the Michael Caine movie, on 4K disc a few months ago. So that's another great release by Warner Archive on 4K. But they do a lot of fantastic restoration work of classic films, and those are all available on Blu-ray anyways. So if you haven't got a chance to check out movies in a while, or want some great 4K Blu-ray discs, go ahead and check them out. Go to the newsletter. I'm gonna be posting when you see this video. I'll also have some of the titles up on the website, and I'll be posting this video up on the it's thepictures.com website. It goes directly to the Ghost newsletter, and you can check out some of my favorite releases there. And I'll be posting where to buy physical media, my article that I wrote earlier. So if you're interested in picking up any of these discs, there's some great labels and places you could buy them from. So, but from It's the Pictures, that kind of wraps up my coverage of the year. If you haven't ever checked out any of the other videos on the label, It's the Pictures is a podcast. We have a lot of different episodes on here, shorts as well. So check those out. Been running for a lot of years. I hope you enjoy them. Yeah, I hope you have a wonderful holiday season and a great new year. And we'll be back next year to celebrate more of film and home video releases, etc. Take care, everyone. Bye.